What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Mark for Audio 46. Today I'm going to be looking at the DT770 Pro X limited edition. These are Beyerdynamic's newest, well, not newest, but they're a reiteration of the DT770 Pros, which are Studio Legend, Closed Back Legend. And in this version, we see an upgraded detachable XLR cable. It's a mini XLR. So just wanted to talk about it. In the box, you're going to be getting the DT770 Pro X limited edition, a mini XLR to 3.53 meter cable that's detachable, a drawstring bag, the safety instructions and user manual, and then a 1/4 inch adapter that goes with that. Next thing, I just wanted to talk about the design, and I'm going to show you some of the differences on the regular 770 Pros compared to the limited edition. But most notably, I wanted to talk about the resistances that you're going to be able to get on these because they incorporate the Stellar 45 driver that's in the DT700 Pro. They only come in one resistance. It's at 48 ohms. And on the DT770, you're gonna have the option between 32 ohms, 80 ohms, and 250 ohms. So for people who are using more powerful amps or standalone outboard headphone amps in their studios, you're gonna have to turn the volume way down for these. These are best used, in my opinion, with a small portable amp or a personal computer. I got it plugged right into my MacBook right now, and it sounds great. There's no problems with the volume, but if I was using a larger amp or outboard gear, I'd have to turn the voltage way down. So that's one criticism that I have. If you take a look at these regular DT770s, the edges on here are a little sharper. That's one thing that I noticed than they are on here. They're more beveled, they're a little smoother. Weighing in at 305 grams, they said to have improved the memory foam on the ear pads and on the headband. I've been testing these headphones for about 10 hours right now, all in total, and I never once had a problem with the comfort. These are super, super comfortable, and it makes sense. If you're using these for professional use, you're gonna be behind a mixing desk sometimes for 12 hours straight, and you're gonna have to be taking them on and off. Sometimes you gotta have your headphones on for a very long time. So the upgraded plushiness of the headband and the ear pads are really, really nice. Next, I'm gonna talk about the soundstage, and I was really impressed with how localized and wide a closed back can sound. These have some great width, and I'd call it a medium soundstage. Sometimes I listen to closed back headphones and it sounds like there's added reverb in there, and I'm not really a fan of that. It almost sounds like artificial to me, and these sound really organic. They're not trying to be open back headphones in a closed back package. These are definitely gonna be not the widest, but also not really close. For recording use, for mixing use, monitoring use, stuff like that, you're not sacrificing soundstage width. These do have a holographic quality to them. They're not the widest, they're not the most vertical, but especially for a closed back headphone, these really do have a great soundstage, and Beyerdynamic has been making closed back headphones for a very long time. They know what they're doing, and they did a really good job on these. Next, I wanted to give you my listening impressions, and I'm going to start off with the bass. The bass here is pretty neutral. It's definitely not booming, it's not thudding, it's not like a bass boosted headphone, and I get that, especially considering these being reference style headphones for mixing and monitoring. As far as recreating a bass sound goes, these do a really good job of getting a good idea of what the mix sounds like. It's pretty flat. There's some areas that I think are a little more boosted, maybe in the sub bass, but it's not that far off from what I think is a flat sounding headphone. So there's a little extra bass in there, but all in all, they're pretty neutral and pretty flat. Moving on to the mids, these are gonna be a little brighter. And I say that because I felt like there was a little bit of a bump between 1000 and 2000. In the lower mids, they're gonna be really, really neutral, which I enjoy a lot. I think, in my opinion, low mids really have some of the grittiness, and it's nice on saturated guitars, it's nice on some synths, but it can also really take away from the mix by being so far forward. And depending on the kind of music that you're listening to, sometimes it's so packed with mid information that putting that low mid bump just creates a lot of mud. So I'm really happy about the mid range in these. That added brightness does add a lot. You know, it's like that old adage, a little goes a long way. The little bit of bump that I hear between 1000 and 2000 hertz is really doing a lot to these headphones. Lastly, I wanted to talk about the highs, and these are going to be the flattest, most neutral characteristic. If you look at an actual Harman curve, you'll know that flat highs don't necessarily mean a flat frequency response, but in terms of what I was listening to, it was really close to that curve. So it's not super bright, it's nice in the way that it's presented. In terms of what you're getting out of the highs with these, this is a little closer to the 700 than it is to the DT770. The DT700 is the predecessor in a lot of ways, and even though it's a 770 on the side, the drivers are coming from the DT700s. Beyerdynamic said that they're tuning this frequency response with a little more emphasis in the bass and a little more emphasis in the highs. But to me, what I really heard is that neutral characteristic in the highs that don't get too bright. There's a nice presentation of the cymbals, a nice presentation of higher pitched elements, which I really enjoyed. With all this in mind, sometimes when there's male vocalists or really specific bassier guitar sounds, I think that gets lost a little bit in the mix just because of the way that these are tuned. I really noticed this when I was listening to Poison Idea, and that low, really focused male vocal sound doesn't really come through as much. And I noticed this more when I started listening to pop music. I was listening to the new Charlie XCX 360, and her higher pitched voice really comes out more. And I think that's because of the way that the mids are tuned on these. Overall, these are pretty neutral, but they do have those slight bumps. With all that in mind, I just wanted to quickly talk about the detachable mini XLR that these have, and this is a huge improvement from the DT770s. With the regular DT770 Pros, that meant that if you damaged the cable or if something happened to it in any way, essentially you had to throw out the headphones. I mean, you could try getting them repaired, you could try soldering them yourself, but at $169, it was much easier to just go replace the headphones yourself. So for $40 more, now you're gonna have the option of detaching the cables, which means that A, you can upgrade them, or B, if anything breaks, you're gonna be able to replace it super easily. The detachable XLR on these headphones is a huge improvement, and for $200, now you're gonna be able to make these headphones last way longer. Also, if you have different gear that you're using them on, you're gonna be able to have different terminations for whatever gear you want, and you can carry around multiple cables. So that makes it really good for recording use or for home use, whatever you want. At the same time, I wish that we did have different resistance options for the driver. I love the fact that you can get real specific with the DT770 Pros, and you can get the model that fits your gear the best. So that is something that I was a little disappointed in. At the same time, these are probably the most comfortable headphones that I've used in the price range. They're probably more comfortable than a lot of headphones that are double or triple the price. Beyerdynamic did a great job with these. If you're in the market for a versatile close back at a good price, check out the DT770 Pros by Beyerdynamic, the limited edition, available at Audio 46.